So this is the first year that we are introducing services as a separate full track at TiEcon. And when Ashok and I were thinking through the content for this track, we thought it would be appropriate to focus it on next generation technologies and innovation rather than try and focus on traditional technology services, which are pretty much getting commoditized today. So, and I don't think we could have asked for a better speaker than my friend Sanjay Dhawan, who is the president and CEO of Symphony Teleca. Sanjay has been a serial innovator. There are a lot of serial entrepreneurs here, but he's been a serial innovator, having done this for several years across several companies. Prior to Symphony Teleca, he was the chief operating officer and president at Aricent, and several other companies before that. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Sanjay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Ashok. A bit interesting story. Probably most of you heard Ramesh Wadhwani give a keynote this morning. And this gentleman I didn't know until about 3-4 years ago. Now I'm part of running one of his group companies, and I came to buy one of his companies. He had a company called Teleca that he had taken private, and it used to be a Swedish company, and he I wanted to buy that company, and that's how I got introduced to him. He had a vision about building a next generation services companies, which is very much around the focus of this track. A very company focused on mobility, around analytics, and cloud, kind of the way the software is going to be built in the future. And he convinced me that no, his company is not for sale, and in fact, I need to come and join and become part of his team. So here I am. The approach that I, as I was discussing with Naveen and Ashish about preparing for this track, they basically told me that Sanjay, there is if you look at kind of general IT services, mostly the IT services companies are not known for huge innovation in technology. They're known very much for process innovation, for sure, right? Improving productivity, kind of doing, delivering services in a very process friendly way from a productivity standpoint. But for innovation, mostly product companies are known more for that. And can we kind of we were brainstorming about how to kind of come and share with you all certain innovation areas and opportunities that might exist in services, companies, to basically kind of create as a building block for high value services. So that's the focus that I have in this and I'm going to use a couple of interesting examples. So I have some slides start with which kind of sets the stage. But to be very honest with you, I'll try to go through those slides very, very quickly and get to a couple of examples to make my point about how we can use kind of technology innovation in this whole kind of mobile analytics and in cloud space and build high value services businesses around it. A little bit more about, I have personally, out of the last 27 plus years that I've been working, have also founded a couple of product companies. So have an interesting kind of comparison. All the last 8 years, I've been running services companies. So I can, I'll draw some parallels between kind of doing this as a product startup company versus a services company. Keep my marketing team happy. Here is the quick ad. R&D services companies as Symphony Teleca, very much focused around mobility, analytics, cloud, very global operations around the world, basically. So now let me, I think today, as we look at how enterprises are transforming their businesses, I think it's quite clear to all of us that mobility, analytics, and cloud are playing very, very important role in that transformation. I think enterprises are using more and more these technologies to basically capture customers, retain customers, market to these customers, and so on and so forth, right? I think the term that we use internally in our company is systems of engagement. These are platforms that companies are basically, enterprises are building to go and acquire customers, retain customers, cross-sell to the customers, be it retail enterprises, be it healthcare enterprises, be it financial services, and so on and so forth. And I think what this is doing is for services companies, creating a massive opportunity to basically kind of help these enterprises build these platforms. If you're a services company which wants to take a very traditional approach, I think the opportunity is still big enough, and many companies can focus on that. Take a very traditional approach, where you're basically kind of looking at a cross-functional team that has certain talent in mobility, analytics, cloud, user interfaces, and so on and so forth, and you are engaging with your customers to help them build these platforms. These platforms, typically also are known as omni-channel, multi-channel platforms, right? Use these systems of engagement platform opportunity, build a services business. But this approach will very, very traditional services approach. I think what I'm going to talk to you about is there an opportunity to create a more of a non-traditional, more of a product approach, right, to this market opportunity. I think calling on this slide is is there an opportunity to create a high demand, futuristic type of a middleware packages which can be reused and built more services around it, and you can basically have a licensing model or a different type of revenue model around it. We in our shop basically call it middleware high demand packages, basically, which you productize and build a complete services offering around it. And like I said, I want to use a couple of examples with you. One in connected car industry, and the second one in analytics industry, to kind of give you some ideas about. And there are many more other options available as well. Clearly, from a business model standpoint, I think these high value packages then can be basically licensed and taken to market in a fairly different business model. Some very interesting scenarios around pay-per use, transactional type of business models, and so on. And as I take the examples forward here, basically, you can, I'll share at least with you some of the thinking that we're going through and how we are taking it to market. So let me jump straight into my first example that I want to use with all of you. I think probably all of us will agree that connected car is a huge paradigm that is being created right now. What was a standalone kind of a vehicle today is becoming more and more connected. It's an industry which is just starting. It's at its start, but it's growing through huge exponential growth, right? There is today a lot of data that gets generated in a car stays very local in the car. But as this car kind of gets more and more connected, not within the car, but also through 4G networks, satellite, and so on and so forth, and a certain portion of that data starts leaving the car, there are huge different business opportunities which are there, definitely for product companies, but also for many services companies. So this in this example that I wanted to use with you, so we as a company, what we did was we saw this trend. We are R&D services company, like I said, so very kind of traditional. We work with our customers to help them build product, and we basically saw this opportunity and said, okay, what, we are going to invest in a middleware platform that is going to kind of help connect the car and capture all the data selectively, kind of that is coming from the car, and then we are going to kind of connect that obviously through a cloud platform, and then have analytics engines which are running behind it, and so on and so forth, right? So this middleware platform, we call it Inside Connect, that gets kind of licensed to our customers. But we're really kind of from a business model standpoint using the good old Gillette model, give away the razor, charge for the blades, basically, right? So we want to kind of get this whole platform into as many connected cars as possible, right? And so let me give you some examples of the use cases which are being enabled right now, right? So one use case is today when the fault comes in your connected car, in your car, let's use a very simple example of engine oil change, right? When a fault comes, you typically kind of see a little lamp light up, and you are supposed to do something with it, right? You go to the nearest oil change place, schedule some time, take your car, and so on and so forth, right? What we are trying to do as part of this is basically that we're trying to connect the car in a way that when this fault is generated, the DTR code, the fault code, basically kind of gets transmitted onto through the cloud platform, through the connected car. Into the cloud platform, where there is analytics software which can basically has the access to all the previous faults of the car. In this case, I'm using a very simple example, but could be more complex fault, right? Where you basically run analytics on various different fault codes, and now it has connectivity to the dealer network behind the cloud, who can basically go and give you a quote, and in fact even schedule your car, versus you taking any manual actions. So this is the power of kind of this whole SMAC platform coming together. There's a social element. The dealers are bidding against each other, right, in terms of giving you a quote to repair your fault that the car has just generated. Similarly, there is a cloud element, right, which is this whole connectivity piece, and then mobility and location-based services, and the use cases are just way too many, right? The way the road taxation systems, or way the insurance companies will be basically looking at some of the selective data that comes out of the car to basically kind of do analytics on your driving patterns, and based on those analytics fine tune your insurance plans, for example, right? So the reason I'm kind of using this as one example here basically is that as a services company, services companies, they have the opportunity to go very broad in an ecosystem. Product companies by nature are fairly narrow, and they have to be very, very focused. Services companies, like ours and many others, have the opportunity to go very broad. And when you can go very broad, you can basically kind of create these ecosystems if you innovate. Using this as one example, where a certain platform can be basically innovated, invested in, deployed, and then monetization happens through kind of various different business models. In this case, the way we are charging is on a per transaction basis. So what that basically means is that every time there is a transaction that the user does with the car, that's when we get monetized, basically. So I'll just give one quick example on analytics side, real quick. There is a company called Wilbur Alice. It's a 92-year-old company. They do $30-40 billion in revenue, family owned. Wilbur and Ellis family. I was talking to a gentleman by the name Michael Wilbur, who's a third generation family member who runs that company right now. And this company is into agriculture, seed distribution, kind of, they work with farmers and sell, chemicals and seeds to farmers to help them do agriculture. A business that has over the years grown to $30-40 billion business in a very, very traditional manner, right? Simple seeds, chemicals, all that stuff. This third generation family member is basically bringing SMAC to redesign, their engagement with their customers, with a mobile and an iPad-based app, which basically kind of, takes, soil information, takes the weather and other demographics, of the farmer fields, and basically kind of, comes up with a plan of how to make that farmer more and more productive, right? And as companies help these enterprises build these SMAC platforms, what we are doing is, was to invest in a analytics platform, which basically sits, in the cloud, once again, to basically look at, various different, data elements and run, in this case, this example that I'm giving you is more around, soil data, weather information, and so on and so forth, to basically, come up with, new, predictive models, which would basically make this farmer much more productive. So the point I'm making basically here is, again, that as services companies, you can invest in middleware platforms, which will help you do nonlinear growth, be it in the connected car scenario, right, with the middleware example that I used, or be it in analytics. And by the way, there are many other similar examples. But the thought process has to be around thinking, fairly broad. Unlike a product company, when I put my product hat on, we always try to kind of, go very narrow. Thank you, and hopefully kind of, enjoy the rest of the track.